Dona Sebastiana said, curandero, but hours ago, your soul was a tall candle with many years left to burn. And the soul of the wealthy man was a short candle about to be extinguished. However, now, the tall candle belongs to the soul of the wealthy man. And the short candle is your soul. And she took out one of her arrows. And she shot it. When that arrow pierced the small candle and extinguished the flame, the soul of the curandero left his body and joined all the souls Dona Sebastiana had gathered in the Carreta de la Muerte that night for the long journey into eternity. Thank you. Pedro de Guatemala is, well, he's a Hispanic trickster. And then all cultures have tricksters. Tricksters, some Native American cultures have the raven. They have Teal Jugenspiel in Eastern European cultures. Our culture has Bart Simpson. All cultures have tricksters because they let steam out of the pressure system, right? And Pedro de Guatemala is a Hispanic trickster. Goes back centuries. The great Cervantes of El Quixote fame, of course, Don Quixote, he wrote a play about Pedro de Guatemala. So it's been continuous in Latino culture across the centuries. And so this is one of the stories of Pedro de Guatemala. Once, there was this poor man in a village, Pedro de Guatemala. Well, Pedro, he was a poor man. He didn't have much. He had some simple pleasures. One of them was to go to the cantina. He loved going to the cantina. And in the cantina, well, what he liked doing was playing cards. And when he'd win, well, no one cared when he won, because when he'd win, well, he'd gather his winnings, and then he'd stand up and he'd say, "Cervezas para todos mis amigos." And if you start yelling that in a cantina late at night, you have a lot of friends. So people didn't care if he won or not or everything. So Pedro would win and everything. And one night Pedro's coming home, and he'd not had a good night. He had left only 1 centavo. That's all he had. So he's coming home, thinking about his night, and he sees 2 beggars on the side of the road. And they're horrible. They stink. They got sores on them. Their hair's ragged. Their clothes are torn. Their hands are out like this, and they're begging, "Please, please, for the poor, please, please." And Pedro did all he had was 1 lamp. That's all he had. So he started to walk by, but then, well, he knew what it was like to be poor and have nothing. And he was touched by their desperate plea, so he gave them the last centavo he had. And he started to walk away, and he hears this poof, and he turns around and, oh my gosh, it's not the beggars anymore. It's the Lord and St. Peter. And he knows it's them because he recognizes him from the picture in the church. The Lord and St. Peter, whoa. And the Lord, well, see, the Lord doesn't say much. He just stands there looking Lord. St. Peter does all the talking. And St. Peter says, "Pedro, I'm your namesake. Peter, Pedro, come over here. I need to tell you what's happened today. The Lord and I periodically come down to earth, disguise ourselves as beggars. And then what we do is, disguised as beggars, we see on earth who's living by the Christian principles of caring for the poor. Pedro, I don't need to tell you about what happened today. It wasn't a good day on earth for us. People kicked dirt on us. Mothers held their children away. Dogs, I don't want to tell you what dogs did to us. But the Lord is not happy. Pedro, you're the only person on earth living by the Christian principles of showing kindness to the poor. For that reason, the Lord has said you can have whatever you want. Whatever I want, whatever you want. Gee, I know what I want. I know exactly what I want. I want a deck of cards. That's what I tell it to do. And St. Peter says, that's the most common request. I keep them in my pocket. Gives him the deck of cards. So the Lord and St. Peter get ready to leave, and Pedro says, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. St. Peter says, yeah, we're getting ready to go. Our work's over here. No. I want another thing. St. Peter says, wait, you already got the deck of cards? No, you said the Lord, I could have whatever I wanted. I want another thing. Well, what do you want? Okay, one more thing, that's it. Well, it's going to seem strange, but I think I might need it one day. I want a drum that when you beat it, you can't let go until I tell you for the drum to let you go. It's like the drum possesses you for a little bit. That's what I want. St. Peter says, there's no drum like that. There's not a drum. And Pedro says, he poofed the earth in 7 days. Tell him to poof it. And St. Peter says, he's got a point, just poof it. Poof! There's the drum. So the Lord, St. Peter, now they're really starting to go, and Pedro says, just a minute, one more thing. And St. Peter says, you don't want to make him mad. Remember the locusts? It can be really bad if he gets mad. So he kind of looks at him, and the Lord sends out, he can send out those little lightning bolts with his eyes. Boom! The last thing I promise. Whenever any member of my family dies, they go straight to La Gloria, heaven itself. That's the last thing I want. The Lord, boom, they're gone. Okay. Well, now Pedro, when he goes to the cantina, well, everything's different now, because he always says, let's play with my deck of cards. So where they play, but now he wins every hand. People don't care. Cervezas para todos mis amigos. People don't care. Pedro's walking home. There's a wagon in front of his house. What's the wagon going here? Goes inside. Who's sitting there waiting for him? But Doña Sebastiana, La Muerte, death herself. He'd walk by the Carreta de la Muerte, the death cart. She was on her nightly journey collecting souls for the long journey into eternity. He walks in, he says, "Ooh, ooh, Doña